Communication is key to every successful relationship. We've got 7 tips to help you communicate better in your marriage and every relationship, so stay tuned.
This is Black Love, a talk with Dr. J and Dr. J.
God has blessed us with a lot of love, and we'd like to share that love with you.
So like and subscribe, and do us another favor and share this video with others.
So hit that button.
Yes, do us that favor, because here at Black Love, we're all about living a life of love.
This is Black Love.
Here are our 7 tips to communicating effectively in your marriage.
So babe, what's tip number 1?
Avoid mind reading.
What is mind reading?
It's thinking that you know exactly what I'm trying to say and I know what you're trying to say.
I think a lot of ladies do this, don't they?
Yeah, unfortunately. Ladies, you have to understand, we think differently than men think. So we can't expect them to think how we're thinking. We can't expect them to know what we're thinking.
No, I would agree. What wifey does for me, she just says it. Like, this is how I'm feeling. And I say, okay, thank you, I've got it. And there's no questions whatsoever. I really love how you communicate with me in that way, that you don't leave it for me to guess how you're feeling, or I should have known, or if I was more in tune with you, I would know. It's none of that. You just, freely express it. And that helps me out a lot. So I would encourage not only ladies, but men to do the same thing, because men can do that as well. Try to act a certain way and say, well, if you really knew, what was going on, and you should know how I'm feeling and all this kind of stuff. No, just state it. I'm feeling like this. I'm not feeling good about this. You just say it, and it goes a long way.
Or I am feeling good about this. Sometimes you can't expect your partner to understand that something is positive about your relationship either. You have to say those things.
That's right. There's positive and negative and everything. A lot of times we harp on the negative, but we also have to express the positive. And you can't expect your partner to even know that you're feeling positive about something if you don't express it with your words.
Babe, I love when you make coffee for me in the morning.
But babe, I never make coffee for you in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's try to teach you more.
Try to teach a lesson. What else you got? What other tips? Tip number 2.
Don't get defensive.
Now, that's easier said than done,
Yeah.
all right? Because when someone's talking, sometimes we want to put up barriers.
It's our
want
nature.
to get defensive, right?
It's our nature.
Okay, so how do you stop yourself from getting defensive?
I literally have to sit back and say, I'm not going to get mad about this. He's going to explain to me what he means, and I know that I can't honestly be right all the time, right?
And I like that you said that, and it's been recorded.
It's been recorded, and I know I can't be right all the time. I acknowledge that.
Yes.
So sometimes I might, muck things up a little bit, and that's okay. But I'm not going to get defensive about it, because all that's going to do is cause a little bit of friction between us. It's going to make it worse.
Exactly. And you have to understand too that when your partner is talking to you, most times than not, you have to give your partner the benefit of the doubt. Most times than not, they're not trying to upset you.
Right.
Now, there's maybe some people that intentionally push buttons. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. But most of the time, your partner is not trying to upset you or get under your skin or make you mad. But they may have expressed something in a way that's more emotional, or, had some outbursts because of what they're feeling, or sometimes just the words that are being said are hard to hear, but your partner isn't trying to upset you. So don't get defensive. Don't take it personal. And that's what I have to do a lot of times, to say, you know what? She's not trying to hurt my feelings. Yeah, I have to say that to myself.
No, and I have to say the same thing. I do. I have to realize that. I have to step back.
And I also say to myself, so let me just man up and listen. Let me man up and listen, no matter how hard it hurts or hits, and then take a moment to sort through my feelings before I even respond. And so just don't take things personal. Don't get defensive.
Right. That would lead me to communicate how you want to communicate.
All right, that's number 3. Communicate how you want to communicate. Talk to us about what you mean by that.
Well, you have to be able to, number 1, communicate, but you have to be able to tell your spouse or your partner how you need to communicate, how you need to move through a conversation. Sometimes, for me especially, sometimes I have to take out a minute and I have to say, babe, look, I know we need to talk about this, but I need some time to decompress, to kind of formulate my thoughts, to work through how I actually feel before I have a discussion with you, because I don't want to get defensive. I don't want to get to put all my negative emotions out there in a conversation that needs to be had.
I think this is one of the biggest things that's helped us in our communication, because it's something that we have talked about from the beginning of even dating. You know, that if we need a moment to gather our thoughts, to just state that. And so I would say, state that you need a moment to communicate. When a person, you know, or when there's some friction in the room and you know that a conversation is coming, don't avoid it, or even if you intend to talk later, state that. Because if you don't, and a person thinks that you're shutting down, or they think that you're avoiding them or ignoring them, it builds, you know, more anger and animosity and friction within that other person.
Right.
But if you just simply say, I need a moment to gather my thoughts, and you know, I know that we need to talk, but just give me a moment. When Erin says that to me, that just takes so much off of me, and it helps me not to be so upset at her. So I would say, communicate that you just need a moment to communicate.
Now you have to also remember that doesn't mean taking out aside 2 days to have a conversation. That's just avoiding the conversation.
Exactly.
I think it's reasonable to say, okay, by the end of the day, let's come back together and let's really talk about this, not, you know, next week. And doing this
go take a nap, go take a walk.
Exactly.
You know, get up and stand up, do some exercise, some jumping jacks, and, you know, some deep breaths to clear your mind, get your thoughts together, and then come back and talk to your spouse. And I would throw this in too, that when you are taking time to communicate, don't involve a lot of other people in the process before you talk to your spouse.
Yes, that's a mistake to do.
Yeah.
Ladies, I know you want to go talk to your girls. He did this and he said that. Don't do it. Don't. Just let them.
You could talk to them, but you couldn't talk to me?
Right.
No. Just take a moment, gather yourself, and then come on back and talk. You don't need all these other people in your relationship. Talk with each other. And so that's one thing that I think has really helped us in our communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the next tip number 4 is?
Don't be accusatory.
Don't be accusatory. In a lot of circles, this is known as using I and me statements. A lot of times when we talk to each other, this is generally speaking, we say, you did this and you always doing that, and you didn't do this and you did that, instead of simply saying, I feel hurt. I feel ignored. I feel that I haven't been listened to. You have to talk about how I feel, not all this accusations about you and didn't and you always, and that never helps anything. I don't know a person that can honestly say that me pointing the finger talking about what you always do has ever helped the situation.
Never.
Never, ever, ever. So don't be accusatory. Practice those I and you statements, and you can look that up. That's one of those general practice things. You can look that up all over the internet and get examples of how to use I and you statements.
Absolutely.
All right, tip number 5, babe. What's the next one?
Be specific.
Specific. Talk to us about what that means.
You got to say exactly what you need.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
I mean, that means, babe, I need you to not put that heavy blanket on us every night and sweat me out. It's too hot for me.
But babe, I'm cold, so I need that heavy blanket. That's me being very specific. We're literally on our bed. There's a blanket on one side. You know, we have the main blanket, but I need more blankets. So there's one blanket right down the middle for me, and then she gets the cooler side. And she's specific about what she needs. I'm specific about what I need.
Yeah.
And we work it out. But I would agree. You have to be very specific. It just helps in communication on all levels, not just with your spouse. If you're doing some business deal or something like that, or you're talking to a lawyer or something, you would have to be specific, right? You want to know what's in the contract.
Absolutely.
And you want to know what you and your spouse are talking about. So be specific. Stop beating around the bush or using code language or half saying what you really feel or being timid about what you feel.
Or going back to that mind reading.
No, don't go back to that, because that's just the very opposite of specific. Just be specific when you communicate. And if you have to practice what you want to say before you go and talk, just practice what you want to say. You know, when I'm writing, studying for sermons and writing and prepping, I try to write out every single word so that I can be specific in my communication to the masses. And sometimes you may have to do that with just the one person that you want to communicate with. You have to rehearse what you want to say so that you can get it right in your own mind. And that just helps in communication when you are specific and when you use the least amount of words to convey what you want to say. It's even better.
Great.
So don't use a whole lot of words. You don't use 10 words when there's one word that can, so build your vocabulary. but you don't want to say a whole lot of words. I'm probably using a whole lot of words to say what we're saying. But just
when all you have to say is be specific.
Be specific. Number 6, tell us what it is, babe.
Be intentional.
Be intentional. What does that mean to be intentional about communicating?
It means you have to sometimes take out time, set aside time to communicate.
Okay, definitely set aside time. You should talk to your spouse every single day.
Yeah.
Like every day. A day should go by where you don't talk. There's some instances where spouses might be in different states for work or whatever's going on, but you should still talk. Especially with technology today, you should talk.
It's too easy.
Yeah, and when you're in the same house, you should definitely talk every day. And I'm not just saying hi and bye and all those types of things.
Yeah.
But if you want to communicate, I think you have to set aside time where the two of you are together someplace where you can actually talk about your day or what's on your mind or the kids or whatever else is going on.
And you might actually have to put it on the calendar. I mean, there have been plenty of times where, we've been so busy with work and just other things that we get sidetracked and we realize at the end of the day, man, we haven't even sat down and talked about anything.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might have to put it on the calendar and schedule out the time.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, people do what they want to do. We always schedule time to do what we want to do. When you say you don't have time to do something, you're basically saying I don't want to do it, because we always make time to do the things that we want to do. If you want to communicate effectively with your spouse, you will make time to do so. This is something that we have picked up recently in this book, A Year of Us. And there's nothing deep about this book whatsoever.
No.
All this book does is on every page, it's like a journal, and it will ask a question to get a couple talking. And so I'll read out the question about whatever it may be, and we'll just have a conversation based on whatever that question may be. And so there's just different topics, and it has a question, and it just gets us to talking. That's kind of how this idea came up.
And yeah, it is actually.
It's just talking. It was something that we had thought about in many different forms, but then there was a question that got us to thinking and talking about it even more. And so we said, hey, let's just go ahead and do it.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Just having a conversation, right?
That's right. We like to talk and hang out anyway.
We do.
So why not record
Why not do it together?
and share it with others so that hopefully you'll be blessed and encouraged, to live a life of love. So be intentional about your communication. Number 7.
Communicate truth.
Truth. What do you mean by that?
I mean, you better stop lying.
Stop lying, right? Like I always say to people, why lie when the truth will do?
Absolutely.
And the more you lie, what happens?
The more you got to keep lying. Just to
Exactly.
cover up the lie you originally told.
Exactly. So just tell the truth. And also, don't omit stuff.
Yeah. Look, girl. Say it again.
Don't omit stuff.
Ladies, that includes that bag that you're hiding under the back seat of the truck.
Have mercy. Mercy. You
That's
never
omitting something.
$2,000 you spent on whatever you spent it on, and you came and she said, how much was it? You said, they gave it to me. They gave it to me. How they gonna give you something like that? Everybody has seen that meme, right? Yes, you have. Just tell the truth from the get-go. And when you communicate, especially when it comes to purchases, ahead of time, you don't have to come in guilty feeling like you have to omit
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, I was out in remember I told you about that? You ain't never told nobody about that.
Yeah.
Tell the truth just from the start, and it just goes a long way in communication.
I agree.
Healthy communication is one of the keys to living a life of love. So take time to build up your communication skills with your significant other.
So we mentioned one book that's really been effective for us, but there are tons of books out on the market. Amazon, Google, your local bookstore, Audible.
They're out there all over the place.
Yeah.
So go find them and tell us about them. Put down in the comments, hey, these books helped me out. We'll go take a look at them as well. And if you find something that helps us when we do a follow-up conversation,
Let us know. We'll mention it.
So in the meantime, show love.
Give love.
And may you receive love. Till next time, everybody.
Peace.
This is Black Love. Thanks for joining us. Until next time.
We always end up with 7. I guess that's our good number, huh?
That's the number. Right.
right.
So I'm gonna say, oh, you gotta go now.
Oh, you gotta go. You ain't got to go home, but.
You gotta get us out of here.
All right, what you want to say? Dang it. What am I trying to say? Did you find me?
Well, I can't talk. That's another one.
Another one bites the dust. Oh yeah.